So light reaction, we call it light reaction because it requires light. Kelvin cycle, also known as dark reaction. The reason is that Kelvin cycle does not require light directly, but it requires light indirectly. Because Kelvin cycle require ATP and NADPH made by the light reaction that require light. That's why we call it Kelvin cycle. It's a dark reaction. It requires light indirectly. So the summary of the carbon fixation or Kelvin cycle is to make sugar from carbon dioxide and water. And it uses ATP and NADPH from the light reaction. And it takes place in the stroma of chloroplast. So it does not take place inside the thylakoid. It takes place in the stroma. And then we have something called Robisco. Robisco is an enzyme. Yes, this is another enzyme that does not end with ASE, one of the exception case. Robisco is an enzyme that will so the function of Robisco is that it will convert this ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate, you can just call it RUBP, into it will combine RUBP with carbon dioxide into let's just say that you become a PGA. Yeah, you'll become PGA. You become 2-PGA. Let's write it here. Kelvin cycle. Let's write it here. RUBP. And Robisco into a 2-PGA. 2-PGA. So this is like the first step of the Kelvin cycle. That and then PGA, from PGA you will use the ATP and NADPH in order to make something called G3P. So from PGA, then you need this ATP and this NADPH and NADP. So you need the ATP and NADPH from the light reaction to convert PGA into 1/3 of the G3P. Yes. So this is like the summary, or not summary, I would say relatively more details of the Kelvin cycle here. And G3P will be converted into glucose. G3P is actually the precursor of glucose. You can call it this way. So what happened is that, why do I put 1/3? The reason is that the output is 1/3. It said that it takes 3 turns of Kelvin cycle to make 1 G3P. So you need to do this 3 times to do this 3 times. In order to make glucose molecules, yeah. You need to do this 3 times in order to have a complete G3P, and then you can make glucose. It says that, okay, you can make glucose, you can also make fructose. And then as we learned from the beginning of this semester, when glucose combined with fructose, we will get sucrose. And when we have a lot of glucose, what does plant do? They will connect all the glucose by dehydration, and then you will make a starch as a storage molecule. And starch, they can store it in this here. Sugar beet stores sucrose in vacuum of the root cell. So that's pretty much the entire photosynthesis that you need to know. This is the, I would say, the simplified Calvin cycle here. Now we talk about 3 different types of plants that they do photosynthesis a little bit differently from each other. C3 plants, we first talk about C3 plants. So we have 3 different ones. It's called C3 plant, one is called C4 plant, last one is called Chem plant. We first talk about C3 plant. C3 plant, well, we call C3 because they make a 3 carbon molecule, PGA. Well, PGA. They make a 3 carbon molecule, PGA. And the issue of C3 plant is something called photorespiration. Photorespiration, we'll talk more about this in the next slide. Photorespiration is an issue that will decrease the production of glucose. This is the summary or the major issue. Photorespiration is the one that will decrease the production of glucose. But C4 and Chem plant, they are, I would say, more advanced plant. They have a mechanism that can prevent photorespiration. They can prevent or minimize, you can call it minimize photorespiration. So what is photorespiration? Remember, normally we have carbon dioxide. I should say carbon dioxide here. So carbon dioxide binds with RUBP, and then Rubisco combine these two to make 2-PGA, to make PGA. So this is what happened here. Carbon dioxide and RUBP, Rubisco make PGA, and then eventually you make glucose. This is under so-called normal situation. But during daytime, when the temperature is high and it is dry, what will happen is that I mentioned that the stomata, they will all close to minimize water loss. When stomata is closed to minimize water loss, what will happen inside the leaf? Inside the leaf, you will have accumulation of oxygen. Why? Oxygen comes from the light reaction. The light reaction will produce a lot of oxygen, and oxygen cannot escape from the leaf through the stomata because stomata is closed due to hot weather. And not only that, carbon dioxide cannot diffuse into the leaf because the stomata is closed. That will cause high concentration of oxygen in the leaf. So what happens is that when we have high concentration of the oxygen into the leaf, then we do not have enough carbon dioxide to convert RUBP into PGA. So we may have this situation that we may only produce one PGA instead of two PGA, and the other one will be called PG, some kind of byproduct that with the photorespiration, it will convert this PG molecule into carbon dioxide. In other words, originally you have two PGA that can make glucose. Now you only have one PGA to make glucose. So that's why I said at the beginning, it will decrease the production of glucose a lot. And that's the major problem of photorespiration. And it says that it reduces the efficiency of photosynthesis. That means it reduces the production of glucose because because it causes some of the fixed carbon to be lost as carbon dioxide. Yes, because some of this will be converted into carbon dioxide instead of glucose. So we will talk about how P4 and P-chem plant I'll say evolve to solve this issue. So again, in C3 plant, carbon dioxide goes in because originally the stomata should be open so that carbon dioxide can go in. So that it will make sugar. But because stoma is closed and the light reaction make a lot of oxygen here, then the accumulation of oxygen and the carbon dioxide cannot go in, then it will make less sugar. And as a matter of fact, some of the RUBP will actually become carbon dioxide here. Now what happened in these two is that for C4 plant, they developed something called bundle sheath cell. Bundle sheath cell in addition to the mesophyll cell. Bundle sheath cell, they have a very strong cell wall that can trap the gas. So what happened is that when carbon dioxide goes into the leaf, let's say during nighttime when the stomata are open, then the mesophyll cell can convert carbon dioxide into a 4-carbon molecule for temporary storage. During daytime, when the stomata is closed, then this 4-carbon molecule can go into the bundle sheath cell, and the bundle sheath cell will break down this 4-carbon molecule into carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, in this case, the carbon dioxide will be very high concentration inside the bundle sheath cell because the cell wall is a specialized cell wall that can trap the gas inside. Then the carbon dioxide will have a high concentration of carbon dioxide due to this 4-carbon molecule. And then in this case, we can make sure the high concentration of sugar. For chem plant, it is similar in that they have, instead of having a separate mesophyll cell and bundle sheath cell, they use a specialized vacuole that can store the carbon dioxide at night, because at night the stomata open, so the carbon dioxide can go in. When go in, carbon dioxide will be stored in the vacuole as a 4-carbon molecule. And during daytime, when the stomata is closed, then this 4-carbon molecule can be converted back into carbon dioxide and to undergo this Calvin cycle and make sugar. So there's the two different types of strategy to compensate. So basically what it says in here is what I just told you. The C4 plant convert the carbon dioxide gas into a 4-carbon molecule in the mesophyll cell. And then there's a bundle shift cell. They have a specialized cell wall that can trap gases. So what happens is that during daytime, during nighttime, carbon dioxide will go into the mesophyll cell, and mesophyll cell will convert them into 4 carbon molecules. During daytime, when the stomata they are closed, then these 4 carbon molecules can go into the bundle shift cell, and the bundle shift cell will convert the 4 carbon molecule into this carbon dioxide. So C4 molecule break up and releasing carbon dioxide. And then with this high carbon dioxide environment, then they can make a lot of sugar in the Calvin cycle. In the CAM plant, I already told you that CAM stands for this crassulacean acid metabolism. So what happens is that during nighttime, when the stomata they are open, then the carbon dioxide can go into the leaf and go into the mesophyll cell. But instead of having the separate mesophyll cell and bundle shift cell, inside the mesophyll cell you will have the vacuole that will store carbon dioxide as a 4 carbon molecule. And then during daytime, when the stomata is closed, these 4 carbon molecules will be broken down into carbon dioxide. So that inside the leaf, you will have high carbon dioxide concentration to make a sugar. So this is what I just told you. And as we know that there are different color of the plant or vegetable or a fruit. If you are vegetarian, you should know that eating different color of the vegetable and fruit is essential to your health, because different color corresponds to different pigment or different vitamin. So when you eat different colors of the fruit and vegetable, it will help you to acquire a full spectrum of the nutrition. So it tells you that carotenoid against photo damage, and carotenoid can be turned into vitamin A in our body. And shrimp, they get their color because of carotenoid, because from the algae that the carotenoid algae that they eat. And salmon and flamingos also from get the pink color also from the algae and the shrimp. So it's like the food chain, the algae originally they contain keratin. The shrimp eat the algae so that they have this pink flesh, and then flamingo and salmon they eat the algae or they eat the shrimp. Then they also become pink. Flavonoid, they are the pigment for in many of these flowers or plant and fruit. Flavonoid, they are also antioxidant. What else? Okay, so we now finish photosynthesis. Let's have a summary. Summary to compare photosynthesis with cellular respiration. So remember, both plant and animal they carry out cellular respiration. It is like a most common misunderstanding amongst undergraduate students, that they used to think that okay, plants do photosynthesis in daytime and cellular respiration in nighttime, but animals do cellular respiration in both daytime and nighttime. It is actually a misconception because plants do both photosynthesis and cellular respiration in daytime. And plants do cellular respiration also in nighttime. In other words, plants do cellular respiration 24/7. Why? Because cellular respiration is one of the 7 characteristics of living organism. If plant does not do cellular respiration, that means plant is dead. That plant is dead. So both plant and animal do cellular respiration in mitochondria. Cellular respiration breaks down glucose and require oxygen to make water and then we breathe out carbon dioxide. So photosynthesis only occurs in plant. Animal, we do not do photosynthesis. It occurs in the chloroplast instead of mitochondria. The ultimate goal is to make a glucose. The ultimate goal for the cellular respiration is to make ATP. And then the byproduct is oxygen. So this chemical reaction, this box here, basically summarizes the two. They are exactly the opposite. But the energy here is different. The energy for photosynthesis is the sunlight, but the product of the energy is ATP for the cellular respiration. Yes, both processes uses the electron transport chain, and they call it chemiosmosis for ATP production. Chemiosmosis is basically what I told you, the facilitated diffusion, the ATP synthase. And this one, G3P, the 3PG, these are the so G3P is from the photosynthesis. So they uses the ATP to make G3P. They also uses the NADPH to make G3P. G3P again is the precursor of glucose. So in photosynthesis, the thylakoid membrane splits the water into oxygen. But during this process, it makes ATP and NADPH. So NADPH here and ATP is made in the first light reaction, splitting of water into oxygen. And then the Calvin cycle uses the NADPH and ATP from the light reaction in order to make this G3P. G3P. Yes. But one Calvin cycle only make 1/3 of the G3Ps. That's why we need to have a 3 Calvin cycle to make a complete G3P. For cellular respiration, cristae, or the inner membrane of the mitochondria, at the end of the electron transport chain, let me see. At the end of the electron transport chain, oxygen gas will accept the high energy electron at the end of the electron transport chain and combine with hydrogen ion to form water. And then during the glycolysis and citric acid cycle, the breaking down of the glucose will produce a carbon dioxide gas. So this is the summary and the I would say compare and contrast between photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So that's it for the online lecture. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me during the Wednesday lecture.